In the heart of ancient Korea, where majestic mountains touched the sky and serene rivers sang timeless melodies, a lone traveler embarked on a long and arduous journey. His path led him through winding trails and dense, whispering forests, carrying him far from the bustling villages and familiar faces he knew. He carried only what he truly needed: a simple indigo duramagi to ward off the chill, a sturdy walking stick to aid his steps, and a heart profoundly open to both the wonders and the challenges of the road ahead. Each deliberate step brought him deeper into the untouched wilderness, where the ancient whispers of nature became his only constant companions, a symphony of rustling leaves and distant bird calls. As the afternoon sun began its slow, graceful descent, painting the western sky with tender hues of orange, pink, and muted purple, a sudden, frantic cry shattered the tranquil silence of the forest. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated distress, high-pitched and desperate, unlike anything the traveler had heard before in his many journeys. His kind heart stirred immediately, filled with an instinctive urgency, and he quickened his pace, following the urgent, pleading calls deeper into the dense, shadowed woods. The sounds grew louder, more frantic, guiding him inexorably towards an unseen struggle hidden amongst the ancient, watchful trees. Pushing through a heavy curtain of ivy and ancient, lichen-covered branches, the traveler's eyes fell upon a scene that instantly made his blood run cold. High in the strong, gnarled fork of an ancient oak tree, a simple nest, precariously woven from twigs and leaves, was under a terrifying assault. A colossal, deep forest green serpent, an imugai, a great mythical snake, of formidable size and menacing aura, was coiled tightly and menacingly around the thick branch, its massive head poised to strike. Its target, 3 tiny, helpless baby magpies, AGI Kachi, cowering desperately within the fragile nest. Their desperate, high-pitched chirps were the very cries he had heard, echoing the profound terror in their fragile, innocent hearts. Without a moment's hesitation, his innate compassion overriding any personal fear, the traveler knew deep in his soul that he simply had to act. He yelled with all his might, a guttural, startling sound specifically designed to alarm and disorient the formidable predator. Brandishing his sturdy wooden walking stick high above his head, he began to beat the solid trunk of the ancient oak tree with rhythmic, forceful thuds that resonated loudly through the quiet forest. His actions, though seemingly simple, were infused with a fierce determination to protect the innocent, fragile lives threatened by the monstrous, scaled serpent. The imugi, clearly annoyed by the human's sudden, unexpected interference and the jarring, persistent noise, hesitated. It was unaccustomed to such open defiance from a mere mortal. With a slow, deliberate, and undeniably graceful movement, its immense, scaled body began to uncoil from the tree, smoothly slithering down the trunk and disappearing into the dense undergrowth with a barely audible rustle. The immediate, terrifying danger had finally passed, thanks solely to the traveler's brave and timely intervention. A profound wave of relief washed over him as the forest fell silent once more, save for the faint, trembling chirps of the safely rescued chicks. Just as the traveler was finally catching his breath, savoring the peace that had returned, a sudden rush of black and white wings descended from above. It was the mother magpie, Eomi Kachi. Her sleek, glossy feathers still slightly ruffled from her recent panic, now circling the traveler with an unmistakable, frantic joy. She let out a series of grateful, melodious chirps, flying incredibly close to his head, almost as if bowing in profound thanks before gracefully returning to her anxious, chirping chicks. Her small, intelligent black eyes seemed to convey a depth of gratitude that transcended mere language, a silent, heartfelt promise of future repayment. The traveler continued on his journey, the touching image of the grateful magpie fresh and vivid in his mind. But as twilight deepened, painting the vast sky in ever richer hues of deep indigo and velvet black, the dense forest around him grew progressively darker and more ominous. The very air grew heavy, carrying the damp scent of rich earth and unseen, nocturnal creatures. Realizing he desperately needed shelter for the night, he spotted a faint, flickering light in the far distance. A small, isolated dwelling nestled precariously amidst the ancient, towering trees. It seemed an unexpected beacon of hope in the rapidly encroaching darkness, a faint promise of much-needed rest and refuge. Approaching the dwelling with cautious optimism, the traveler found it to be an old, dilapidated house, half hidden by thick, overgrown vines and ancient moss. He gently knocked on the weathered wooden door, hoping for hospitality. But when the door creaked open with an unsettling groan, it revealed no human face, but the truly terrifying, colossal head of the very imugi he had so boldly chased away earlier that day. Its slitted golden eyes gleamed with cold, ancient malice, and its immense, scaled body completely filled the doorway, blocking any possibility of escape. The air around him grew incredibly heavy with a sinister, suffocating presence, and the traveler felt a chill, far colder than the night itself, seep into his very bones. A chilling, ancient voice, deep and resonant, emanated from the massive serpent, vibrating through the very ground. "So, you are the presumptuous human who dared to interfere with my rightful meal," it hissed, its colossal head weaving slowly and hypnotically. "Those succulent magpies were destined to be mine, a feast decreed by the natural order. Now, you, foolish mortal, must pay the ultimate price for your misguided kindness. Your life for theirs." The traveler's heart pounded like a frantic drum against his ribs, as the horrifying realization of the true gravity of his earlier actions washed over him. He had saved 3 lives, only to find his own now ruthlessly demanded as payment by this powerful, ancient, and vengeful being. The traveler, trembling uncontrollably, but finding a desperate flicker of courage within his despair, bowed deeply before the monstrous snake. "Oh, revered serpent," he pleaded, his voice quivering with fear and desperation. "I did not know those helpless chicks were your predestined prey. I merely acted on pure, unthinking instinct to save what I perceived as vulnerable, innocent creatures. I am a simple, solitary man far from my home and family, with a long, arduous journey still ahead. Please, I beg of you, have mercy. Grant me a reprieve, for I have done no intentional harm. He begged with every ounce of his being, desperately hoping to stir a forgotten spark of compassion within the ancient, cold reptile. The great snake considered his words for a long, agonizing moment, then let out a low, guttural, rumbling hiss that visibly shook the very foundations of the old, dilapidated house. Very well, human, it finally pronounced, its voice dripping with ancient condescension. I shall indeed give you a chance to save your pitiful life. There is a sacred temple atop that distant, shrouded mountain peak, and on its hallowed grounds, a great, ancient bell hangs. If, by the precise stroke of midnight tonight, that bell rings, then your life shall be mercifully spared. But if profound silence prevails, then you shall, without question, be my destined feast. The condition was utterly impossible. No human could possibly reach that remote temple and ring the enormous bell in such an impossibly short span of time. The traveler was led further inside the dark, cavernous dwelling, which was now unmistakably revealed as the snake's ancient, foreboding lair. There, he was brutally forced to sit, small and utterly vulnerable, in the very center of the vast, oppressive space, as the colossal Imugi and its even larger, more ancient mother, or wife, some legends say, began to circle him ominously. Time crawled by with excruciating slowness, each passing minute an agonizing eternity of profound terror. Moonlight filtered weakly through a high, narrow window, painting ghostly, shifting patterns on the dirt floor. He watched the shadows lengthen with relentless certainty, listening to the rhythmic, chilling hiss of the circling snakes as the dreaded hour of midnight drew inexorably closer. The traveler's flickering hope dwindled with each agonizing tick of the unseen clock. Midnight was now mere moments away, and the profound, heavy silence of the night remained utterly unbroken. No bell. He slowly closed his eyes, accepting his grim, unavoidable fate with a deep, shuddering sigh escaping his trembling lips. He thought of his long, winding journey, of the helpless magpies he had courageously saved, and of the simple, innate kindness that had, ironically, led him to this horrifying, inescapable end. The two immense snakes watched him, their golden eyes glowing with malevolent anticipation, ready to claim their chilling revenge. Just as the last sliver of moon reached its absolute zenith, signaling the precise, treaded stroke of midnight, a deep, incredibly resonant bong echoed majestically through the entire mountain range. The sound was unmistakable, a powerful, sacred chime of a temple bell, cutting through the heavy, suffocating silence like a divine intervention. The snakes flinched violently, their huge bodies recoiling sharply in profound shock and utter disbelief. The traveler, startled beyond measure, snapped open his eyes. Hope, bright and blazing like a newborn sun, surged powerfully through his veins once more. The impossible, the utterly inconceivable, had undeniably happened. The great emoji let out a frustrated, earth-shaking roar that reverberated throughout the lair. Impossible. How could this be? It bellowed, its voice shaking the very stones of the ancient dwelling. The mother snake hissed menacingly, its scales rippling with intense fury. Despite their immense power and ancient malice, a solemn promise made by a creature of the forest, even one so ancient and mighty, could not be broken. Grudgingly, the emoji conceded. "You are spared. Human." It snarled, its voice dripping with venom, but never again dare to interfere with the sacred ways of nature. With a final, piercing, venomous glare, the two immense snakes vanished into the deepest, darkest recesses of their lair, leaving the traveler utterly alone and bewildered, but miraculously, profoundly alive. With the first tender blush of dawn, the traveler, still dazed and disoriented, but filled with an inexplicable urge, cautiously left the serpent's lair. He instinctively headed towards the distant temple, driven by an unshakable compulsion to understand the profound miracle that had saved his life. As he ascended the winding mountain path, the majestic temple bell, now utterly silent, slowly came into view. And there, at its very base, lay the mother magpie, tragically lifeless. A small, worn stick still tightly clasped in her beak, its end visibly worn and chipped from countless impacts. Surrounding her were her 3 baby magpies, now slightly larger, chirping mournfully, gently nudging her still, cold form in a heartbreaking display of primal sorrow. The profound truth dawned upon the traveler with heartbreaking clarity. The mother magpie, remembering his simple act of kindness, had flown tirelessly to the distant temple with her very last ounce of strength. She had used a stick, repeatedly and painstakingly, striking the enormous bell until it rang out precisely at the stroke of midnight, fulfilling the impossible condition and valiantly saving his life. Her ultimate act of selfless devotion, a true Yunhye Gapnoon Kachi magpie repaying a favor, brought hot tears to his eyes. He gently buried the brave, small bird beneath the majestic bell, offering a silent, heartfelt prayer of profound gratitude, his heart heavy with both sorrow and immense, eternal respect. With a renewed sense of purpose and a heart still heavy, yet profoundly touched, the traveler continued his journey. The timeless lesson of the magpie's incredible sacrifice would forever be etched deeply into his soul. He learned that kindness, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, can send ripples through the world, fostering gratitude that can transcend species and defy even the gravest, most ancient dangers. It was a powerful reminder that even in the face of ancient malice and despair, the purest, most selfless forms of repayment can emerge from the humblest of beings, shining a brilliant light on the true, enduring power of compassion. And so, the timeless tale of the magpie's repayment reminds us that every act of goodness, every genuine gesture of mercy, sends profound ripples through the world, often returning to us in the most unexpected and miraculous ways. We may never truly know how or when our kindness will be returned, or by whom, but its inherent, invaluable worth endures eternally. What are your thoughts on this incredible act of selfless devotion and repayment? Have you ever personally witnessed or performed an act of kindness that was returned in an unexpected way? Share your poignant stories and reflections in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more timeless Korean folk tales. And remember to ring that notification bell so you won't miss our next enchanting adventure. Until then, stay kind and continue to cherish the profound wisdom embedded in these ancient, cherished tales.